You're watching ABC10 Plus This Week.
Hello, I'm Jenny Huh, and you're watching ABC 10 This Week. Placer County neighbors are uneasy after the sheriff warns of hidden cameras tied to organized theft. And in dollars and cents, your buy now, pay later habits may soon change your credit score. Then we hit the back roads. John Bartell takes us to Butte County to go dig in the dirt and learn about the wondrous world of worm farming. ABC 10 This Week starts now.
The discovery was made at a home here in North Auburn, where detectives say a hidden camera was tucked in with fake leaves into a bush like this. The Placer County Sheriff's Office says the camera was powered by an external battery pack, allowing it to stay in place for extended periods of time without being detected.
Our detectives started looking around out in front of the house, and that's ultimately where they located this camera, the cord, the battery pack. And up until this point, these groups we hadn't found evidence of these groups using this type of surveillance at homes in Placer County.
Detectives say the device was found while following up on information from a separate investigation. Investigators say this type of surveillance has been used in other parts of the country by organized theft rings known as South American theft groups.
So they're loosely organized criminal networks, and it is comprised of people from several different countries in South America. There's a group who will come in and case a home, and then there's groups that come in and they commit the robberies.
Detectives say some groups have also used signal jammers to disrupt home security systems.
We do have evidence to show that these groups are jamming signals, which can impact Wi-Fi.
Neighbors say the discovery is prompting people to take a closer look at their own properties.
I want to look around the yard and probably inform the neighbors of what's going on. They're planting cameras.
Richard Wallace says his family lives in multiple homes in this neighborhood.
My relative is elderly and they're quite vulnerable, so it's a big concern.
Over the past several years, Placer County has seen a rise in high-dollar residential burglaries, some resulting in 5- and 6-figure losses, including in communities like Granite Bay, Loomis, and Roseville. We spoke with the HOA president of this North Auburn neighborhood.
It is a little bit concerning, but luckily we are in a small community. I'm hoping we're keeping each other's eyes on each other.
Authorities are urging neighbors to keep a close eye on anything that may look out of place, and if you see something suspicious, they say do not touch it and report it to authorities right away. In Auburn, Nazi Javid, ABC 10.
Today marks 1 month since the deadly mass shooting at a child's birthday party that killed 4 people and hurt 13 others.
Yes, sadly, 3 of those killed in the shooting were children. They were 8-year-old Maya Lupian, 8-year-old Journey Rose Guerrero, and 14-year-old Amari Peterson. 21-year-old Susana Archuleta was also killed in that attack.
A month later, law enforcement still has yet to announce any arrests connected to that shooting. Here's what deputies have shared so far. They believe multiple suspects were involved and multiple guns were used in the attack. They say the suspects had their faces covered and were dressed in all black. The sheriff's office also has yet to confirm whether the shooting was gang-related.
ABC 10's Gabriel Porras was the first reporter on scene after that shooting happened, and he is live there now. Gabriel, we know there are still more questions than answers. How is the community coping?
Well, Chris and Laura, to put it simply, the sun didn't shine much here today. And that's how people in the community have been feeling for the past month now. The scene has been blanketed in fog for the majority of the day. It's the same kind of fog that blocked the sunlight on the day of and days following the mass shooting, too. Today's gray sky lent a gloomy feel to a city still grieving now, a full month later. After 1 month on Stockton's Lucille Avenue was a scene seemingly frozen in time. Through the bullet holes in this banquet hall, the trash is still on the ground and the decorations are still up from a November night where people gathered to celebrate. Instead, they mourned outside a memorial still standing for the 4 young lives taken here. A scene frozen because for so many, moving on,
they're not doing well.
Seems impossible.
People have survival guilt. People are scared. People are confused.
R.C. Thompson says she and her nonprofit, the Reinvent South Stockton Coalition, have now worked with all the shooting victims. Her own friends, she says, were in the room when at least 50 rounds of gunfire started.
She tourniqueted her own leg and jumped on a child, performed CPR. Okay, there's still people in this world who are angels.
And Thompson says many of them still need help.
The victims are struggling just about wound care and pain management. Many have surgeries. Many of them had places that they're scared to come out of their house. PTSD is real, especially when you're caught in a room that size and there's active shooting.
4 people, including 3 kids, never made it out. 8-year-old Maya Lupian, 8-year-old Journey Rose Guerrero, 14-year-old Amari Peterson, and 21-year-old Susano Archuleta.
Having to bury children around Christmas time is even one of the worst feelings.
Children buried without many answers. As of Monday, authorities have made no arrest or released any photos of the masked gunmen.
The truth is out there. People know who the shooters are. Are they willing to come forth? Do they really truly believe they'll be protected? These are things that need to be taken in consideration.
Thompson says city leaders also need to consider changes.
It's happening over and over again. There has to be places where this city pours money into, right? To keep those that want to be safe and off the streets in safe places. In this moment, we need to reflect and we got to sit in this.
30 days later, the community is still sitting in the static scene and searching for hope.
Justice will always stand. You cannot lose hope.
We reached out to the sheriff today for an interview. He declined. We reached out to the county supervisor for the area today, and he declined as well. So really in Stockton, it's this mix of grief, frustration, and so many questions, but also hope. As you heard there, the sun that eventually broke through the fog here is almost a reminder of that. Live in Stockton, Gabriel Porras, ABC 10.
And Gabriel, we know so many hearts are still hurting right now. Thank you for that update, and keep us posted as you learn more. Thank you.
New tonight, a deadly house fire in Stockton has left 1 man dead and several members of the family displaced. Meanwhile, the cause of that fire is still under investigation.
ABC 10's Nazi Javid talked with the victim's son today about the loss and his father's final act.
The fire happened at this house, tragically claiming 1 life and leaving the family displaced. Crews were called for help just before 1 a.m. Saturday near Sunny and Kingsley Roads in Stockton. Firefighters finding the home fully involved in flames.
Someone's life work, just gone.
Inside the home were Jose Vialta, his wife, their son, and his family, including children. When Jose woke up in the middle of the night, he saw the fire and took quick action. He made sure all of the family made it out safely, but that's when he realized there was still a child inside this home. He ran in, saved his grandson's life, but never made it out alive.
He woke up, fire was already spreading through the house. Got everyone up, got my mom up, his son, the grandkids, they were standing outside the house when they realized that my nephew was still in there, so he went back in there. He came out and my dad never made it.
All other family members made it out safely.
After coming here and looking at the house, it sunk in that I could have lost my whole family. I could have been burying 6 people.
Jose was a beloved custodian in the Ripon Unified School District and had recently retired after years of supporting students and staff.
I spoke to him on Christmas on the phone. He was loving. We had plans to meet each other for New Year's Eve.
He says the final conversation is now a reminder he carries with him.
I've been thinking about that, not missing the opportunity to call each other, to come and hug each other, see each other, check in, a message, hey, love you, just how you doing? I think making that time, it's definitely, it's hit that for me.
And I spoke with the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office. They tell me fire investigators are looking into the cause of this blaze, and family tells me they're now looking forward and trying to find stability and healing. In Stockton, Nazi Javid, ABC 10.
Just heartbreaking right around the holidays. The Red Cross is now assisting the family. Loved ones have also started a GoFundMe to try to help with funeral costs and housing. You can find that link on our website, abc10.com.
In tonight's Dollars and Cents, the holiday spending season is over, but now those credit card bills are due. And if you used popular buy now, pay later credit plans like Klarna, Affirm, or Afterpay, be sure to pay those off on time, or recent changes to credit reporting could leave you with major sticker shock. Maureen, we've been talking about buy now, pay later loans for a while now, and for the most part, even though they've been evolving over the years, they've flown under the radar of credit reporting, but that is changing. Can you explain?
Consumers have kind of been off the hook of their track record of paying that buy now, pay later really affecting them. But now, since it's going to be reported on a credit score, it could potentially have ramifications.
Buy now, pay later services have revolutionized how you shop. They offer flexible installment plans for everything from stuff online to your groceries. But now, the way these short-term loans impact your financial profile is changing too, because FICO will now incorporate buy now, pay later activity into your credit score.
Some positives could be for someone who hasn't had the opportunity to establish their credit yet. So this might be a young person just graduating from high school. Their installment payments could positively start generating a track record for them, whereas they might not have had that track record before.
Why is this changing? Simply put, buy now, pay later services are growing so fast in popularity. The Federal Reserve says in 2024, 15% of American adults used a buy now, pay later plan in the previous 12 months.
We need to now realize that there are active repercussions if we don't pay on time. And I think the key here is about that on-time payment, because if we don't make that on-time payment, now that negative aspect will be reported to the credit. Again, the flip side is if we do make the on-time payment, that positive aspect will be reported to the credit bureau.
You may remember in a previous Dollars and Cents special, I dug into phantom debt, that unreported debt from buy now, pay later plans that economists and lenders struggled to track. But now that phantom debt will diminish as credit reporting agencies start to include buy now, pay later debt into their credit scoring systems.
This is one more option amongst a million options, right? When we're flooded with ways to spend our money, sometimes that can be overwhelming. And sometimes the best thing to do, again, is to slow down and really just get in touch with what is it that I'm trying to achieve here.
I've taken several deep dives into the risks you need to know about buy now, pay later payment plans. Overall, the experts I talked with can't stress this enough. Be sure to make your payments on time. And if you're thinking about making a purchase, first slow down and think about how you're going to pay it off. The conversation doesn't end here. You can stream all of our Dollars and Cents coverage right now on the ABC10 app. Remember, your money questions have answers. Email me at lpainter@abc10.com. The new year means a new session in the California legislature. As lawmakers return for the start of session Monday, we ask about their priorities for the year.
ABC10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Huh is here now with more on what to expect.
From being an election year to the $18 billion state budget deficit, there are multiple driving forces for lawmaking in 2026. I spoke with our Capitol analyst to help break it all down.
The important word of affordability.
If the 2025-2026 legislative cycle was the year of housing, as Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas put it, this 2026 to 2027 one will be more of the same, political analysts say.
For Democrats, of course, they're talking about housing, more social services, healthcare, and Republicans are talking about affordability in terms of a reduction in regulations.
The buzzword of affordability may be bipartisan, but it's the difference in approach.
The big question will be, how do we pay for it at a time when our state budget is many billions of dollars in deficit. Not only that, you're going to get pushback from the Trump administration in terms of various programs and funding. You've already gotten that.
But certainly state legislators are going to be faced with the consequences of the elimination of that federal funding.
Those cuts already top of mind for Democratic leaders. In reacting to news of this year's budget deficit, Speaker Rivas stating, quote, "We must invest limited dollars on sustainable, vital essentials, healthcare, food aid, housing, education. When Republican policies raise prices and fall short, Democrats will keep fighting for real affordability and lasting prosperity." Rivas was not available for an interview for this story. Neither was new Senate President Pro Tem Monique Limon, though she said this in an unrelated November interview.
And when we don't have the ability to predict everything that's coming to us, whether it's globally or at the national level, and that changes how we prioritize the work we do, how we prioritize the budget.
This as Democrats and Governor Gavin Newsom boast new laws aimed at significantly lowering housing costs, as well as barriers to construction like environmental review regulations.
I mean, is that a surprising priority?
at all?
No, not at all. I mean, that has been the Democratic priority all along.
Meantime, Assembly Minority Leader Heath Flora telling us, quote, "We aim to ease Californians' cost of living burdens by cutting unnecessary costs and addressing the rising costs of energy and insurance." And Senate Minority Leader Brian Jones saying in part, quote, "We live in the most unaffordable state in the nation, and every other priority comes second to fixing that. At the same time, we're doubling down on efforts to fully fund and implement Prop 36. I want to note both Republican leaders also were not available for an interview for this story. Governor Gavin Newsom is set to give his State of the Speech Thursday, January 8th, the first one in person since 2020. Laura.
Yeah, good to know, Jenny Ha. Thank you.
Eligibility for SNAP benefits, formerly known as food stamps, has undergone some changes. With the passage of the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill, more people now have to meet certain work requirements in order to be eligible for ongoing assistance. And this comes as food prices are high and people are facing economic uncertainty. ABC10's Becca Hotbecker joins us live in studio to show how one family is responding. And this is marking To The Point's first Champions of Hope of the year.
Right, Alex. 1 in 7 households in the U.S. experiences food insecurity, according to the latest data. Now, you'll recall during the federal shutdown, SNAP benefits were largely delayed and diminished during the month of November, leading many families to worry whether they could put food on the table. Well, that inspired one Carmichael family to do something, and the community sure has stepped up.
Do you want to put the rice with the rice over here?
Amanda Boucher and her 9-year-old son Landon are organizing the free community food pantry they've placed in their driveway for anyone to use.
The people that come, honestly, it has been the biggest lesson of don't judge a book by its cover, because these are normal people. These are people that you work with. They're people that you're at the store with, and you have no idea that they're hungry.
She, her wife, and their 4 kids started the pantry about 2 months ago in response to the federal government shutdown. That's when SNAP food benefits were in jeopardy and largely delayed and diminished during the month of November.
That was awful. And I know that the restrictions are changing and everything on it, just a bit. But even when it came back, we talked about, well, do we keep it going? But it was like, obviously, it's needed.
The Bouchers took to social media and asked fellow community members to join them in donating food. Since then, they've seen a steady stream of donations and people in need of food utilizing the pantry.
Some of the kids that I see come with the parents, and they're jumping around and so excited to see the little snacks or things like that for them.
Amanda says people are welcome to take items and leave them, and she says some people do both.
The one person that I speak to regularly that comes by, she donates what she's getting somewhere else that she's not going to use, and then she takes what she can, and it's just very cool to see that people that are less fortunate are still giving.
All of this is a lesson about compassion and giving for the Bouchers' young kids.
We talk about how we're filling bellies, and we've reflected back on, can you imagine if you came to me and said, "Hey, Mom, I'm hungry," and we didn't have anything? And that there are people like that.
She says her family plans on continuing to operate the pantry so long as there's a need. And this comment posted today shows there is. Just stopped and grabbed some food and cried on my way home. You have no idea how grateful I am that this exists. Thank you so much.
It's absolutely just shocking how often people come. I love it, but I'm also sad. It makes me sad that we have it, but it's our way of helping.
And I love that Spider-Man was helping out. It really is a good example to set for the kids, too. And I know you said that their family was so sweet, but the Bouchers were also really talking about how invisible the need really is. You never know who is living paycheck to paycheck.
That is so true. You never know who is the single parent worrying about putting food on the table, or someone who maybe has experienced a major medical expense or a job loss, right, who's just trying to feed themselves. And as for the people who returned food that they got from another food bank and then swapped that out, some people might say that seems a little odd, but consider maybe someone is living out of their vehicle and doesn't have access to a kitchen. They can't boil that water to cook the pasta. Someone might have celiac disease and can't eat pasta, for example, because there's wheat in that. So there's a lot of reasons why someone might not be able to eat the food, but I love that they're paying it forward. They're giving it to this food bank, to this pantry, and then taking what they can eat, what they can use at home.
And I do want to make sure that we get to that if you at home do want to help, we do want to give you some information right now.
Yeah, well, the Bouchers say they hope this story encourages people to maybe start a pantry in their own front yard. But if you want to donate to theirs, she invited me to share the location with you. That's on your screen there, 6417 Sandstone Street in Carmichael. Shelf stable food, hygiene items, and pet food are all welcome. And thank you.
All right, Becca, thank you for sharing this story. We really appreciate it. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to our team for more information. Well, we start tonight with debate over California's high-speed rail. As always, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Alex Bell. The bullet train meant to eventually connect Northern and Southern California has hit endless roadblocks, and now California is officially moving forward without federal support. The state dropped its July lawsuit against the Trump administration, which challenged the slashing of $4 billion in federal funds. Opponents of high-speed rail say that Governor Newsom is admitting defeat, but supporters say the project will continue, eventually eluding private investors could soon be arriving. ABC10's Ji Nguyen has been reporting on this project for the past year and is here with what might happen next.
Well, Alex, for the most part, it will be business as usual for the high-speed rail project, especially since the legislature committed $1 billion a year to the project through 2045. But state leaders and the authority have said state funding will not be enough to finish it. How long will that last, and who will continue the funding for the rest of the project? That's still up in the air. Now that California has dropped its lawsuit against the Trump administration over federal funds for the high-speed rail project, advocates for the controversial bullet train say this is a good sign.
They need to be incredibly focused on getting trains running. The next key step is you can actually buy a ticket and sit in a seat. And anything that distracts from getting to that goal needs to be pushed aside.
The High-Speed Rail Alliance advocates for high-speed rail systems across the country. Richard Harnish believes not having the federal government involved could make a clean slate for any other investor to come in.
Any efforts to make that possible by making it easier for other companies to know what's happening is really important. So the step away from the federal government makes things easier to understand what's going to happen next.
During the 2025 legislative session, lawmakers committed $1 billion a year through 2045 into the Cap and Invest program. That billion will go directly into the high-speed rail project.
California will continue to invest at least $1 billion annually in the construction of the high-speed rail project through the Central Valley.
Legislative analyst and adjunct professor Chris McKaylee says the most recent update to the Cap and Invest program shows the state will be getting about $1.8 billion less than in previous years. If that continues to change, McKaylee says high-speed rail funding could possibly be impacted.
If the dollars going into the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, the GGRF monies, continue to go down, that $1 billion appropriation might be revisited.
For now, California continues to be fully committed to completing the high-speed rail.
The high-speed rail, always a hot topic here. All right, my first question, though, Jeannie, is how will they get the money to fund the rest of the project? And my second question would be, have there been any conversations about getting those private investors involved already?
Well, that's an ongoing discussion right now, Alex. And, with the state investing $1 billion into this project, it's potentially hoping to show investors that the state is serious in committing to finishing and seeing this project through. Right now, the High-Speed Authority is actively accepting bids, and they expect this to be a potential international partnership, and they expect to make an announcement sometime in the next 6 months.
So I'll see you again in 6 months.
Exactly.
All right, Jeannie, thank you.
Agriculturally speaking, Butte County is known for its rice fields, its almond orchards, and its walnut trees. But what you may not know is that Butte County is also the leading producer of worms. And many of those worms are grown right here in Durham at the Worm Farm.
If you are unfamiliar with the practice of worm farming, what it is, how it's done, and why it even exists, you're not alone. This is a specialty business.
Is there a lot of worm farms in California?
There is not a lot of worm farms. We're one of the biggest of the ones that do exist, though.
Until I visited a worm farm, I had no idea what a worm farm looked like, and I'm gonna assume you never have seen one either. So here it is, rows and rows of what look like dirt mounds in the middle of a field, which are actually home to millions of worms.
So how big is this place here?
So we're using about 14 acres and about 5 acres for the worms. We've got about 1.5 miles of worm rows.
John Stewart is the owner of the Worm Farm, a business his father and grandfather started back in the 1990s.
What kind of worms are these?
These are called Acidia fetida,
Acidia fetida?
or red worms.
Red worms.
As John and I walk along the worm rows, I quickly learned that worm farming is a dirty business.
One thing you got to get used to is these flies that are around here.
Yeah, we do have a lot of biology.
That biology that John is talking about, well, it's poop. Turns out these worm rows are not dirt piles.
We raise worms, so we produce worms and worm castings, worm poop.
Castings.
Castings.
Poop?
Poop.
Okay.
Worm castings are sort of like super nutrients for plants. Gardeners add worm poop to their soil to grow healthier fruits and veggies. A big part of John's worm farm is making custom soil. He mixes worm castings into different soil blends and trucks it all over the place. It's a lucrative business, but to get the worm poop, John must feed the worms. And these worms eat cow poop.
They eat cow poop?
They do.
Okay. All right, and that's, so it's a very...
It's very beneficial. Lots of good nutrients for the worms.
I'm probably gonna want to wash my hands after this, not eat,
before you bite your fingernails, for sure.
Yeah.
The other part of John's business is actually selling the worms to gardeners who want worms in their flower beds, and he uses this homemade worm separating machine to do it.
It's just shooting the worms out then.
Yeah, so you can see here the worms are kind of rolling up the side, and then most of this is just castings. There's going to be some worms in there.
John mails worms all over North America in 1 pound increments. He estimates there's about 1,000 worms in each box.
Aren't you worried that someone's gonna start their own worm farm and compete against you?
No. They can call me up and I'll tell them how to do it.
Worms are crucial to growing food, especially in organic farming. And that's why for years, John and his family have been providing worm field trips to school children.
We have a nonprofit, and so we bring the kids in and we teach them all about worms and the benefits of worm castings.
It may be a dirty business, but someone's got to do it, and that someone is John Stewart.
From the Worm Farm in Durham, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the back roads.
Thanks for watching ABC 10 this week. We're here 24/7 on the free ABC 10 TV streaming app. You can get your local news and weather anytime, anywhere. I'm Jenny Huh. Take care, and I'll see you next time.